Consistency is the backbone of any great achievement. You see, it's not always about intensity, it's about persistence. The real magic happens not when we work hard for a day or a week, but when we show up every single day committed, even when it feels tough or inconvenient. Consistency is the bridge between our dreams and reality. It's the difference between ideas that remain ideas and dreams that turn into accomplishments. Now, consistency isn't always easy. Sometimes it demands we do things we'd rather avoid at moments we'd rather not face. But that's where growth happens. Each day you push past the resistance. Each time you overcome the urge to quit. You're building a habit, one layer at a time. This is about creating a routine where you don't negotiate with yourself. When you make the decision to be consistent, you're stepping into a space of power where your habits become the engine driving you forward. It's not about feeling motivated. Motivation is fleeting. But discipline, that's something you can build every day, step by step. So start with small, achievable tasks and add to them. These small efforts compound over time and build an unstoppable momentum. Remember, life doesn't demand that we get everything done in a day. It asks only that we show up and do what we can with what we have day after day. Consistency is a process, it's an act of self-respect, showing yourself in the world that you're in it for the long haul. So make that commitment today to be consistent, to be disciplined, to show up not just for a week or a month, but as a lifestyle. Because in the end, it's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, it's what we do consistently. Consistency over intensity is a profound concept that, when understood deeply, can reshape our approach to any pursuit in life. When we think about goals, dreams, or transformations, the natural tendency is to rely on bursts of energy and inspiration. We push ourselves hard, motivated by the initial excitement, eager to see results as fast as possible. This approach might yield some short-term success, but over time, it becomes difficult to sustain. True success, however, is rarely achieved by sporadic intensity. It requires steady, consistent effort, the kind that builds upon itself, forming a solid foundation that stands the test of time. It is this consistency, small, repeated actions day in and day out, that shapes the future. Think of any major accomplishment, whether in the realm of personal growth, career advancement, or physical fitness. The most remarkable athletes, successful entrepreneurs, or skilled artists didn't reach their peak because they exerted a massive effort once. They became great because they practiced and refined their craft daily, often performing the same actions repetitively until they mastered them. Take the example of a sculptor working on a piece of marble. With every small chisel and tap, the sculptor brings forth an image. This transformation doesn't happen instantly, but is the result of countless precise movements. Consistency is the chisel that slowly but surely sculpts the masterpiece from raw potential. At the heart of consistency is a commitment to showing up regardless of the day's circumstances. There will be days when we feel motivated, and on those days putting in the work is easy. But there will also be days when everything feels like a struggle and motivation seems nowhere to be found. On these days, the decision to continue to put in even a minimal amount of effort matters most. The small actions we take on our hardest days often reinforce our commitment more than the intense efforts we make on our best days. This is because with consistency, we're no longer relying on fleeting emotions or temporary motivations. We are relying on something much deeper, a steadfast dedication to our goals and our vision for the future. Consistency doesn't demand perfection, it demands persistence. Mistakes, setbacks, and off days are part of any journey, and they don't define the outcome. What truly defines success is our response to these challenges. If we stumble, we get back up. If we miss a day, we return the next undeterred. Each time we do this, we build resilience. This resilience strengthens our resolve and in turn reinforces our consistency. Over time, these moments of choosing to continue, even in the face of obstacles, become a part of who we are. We transform our identity, evolving from someone who simply desires success to someone who embodies the discipline and consistency that success requires. In life, consistency has a cumulative effect. Small, seemingly insignificant actions compound over time to produce significant results. Imagine a savings account with a modest deposit made every day. Each deposit might seem small, almost negligible, but with enough time, these deposits grow into substantial wealth. The same principle applies to any endeavor. The daily deposits we make, whether in knowledge, skill, or health, accumulate and yield results that can often exceed what intense, sporadic efforts could achieve. This cumulative effect is often invisible in the early stages as the results are not immediately apparent. However, if we trust the process and remain consistent, the growth becomes undeniable. The beauty of consistency is that it creates a rhythm, a pace that allows us to maintain progress without burnout. Intensity, while powerful, is exhausting. It's like a sprint, a quick burst of speed that cannot be sustained over long distances. Consistency, on the other hand, is more like a marathon. It allows us to conserve our energy, ensuring that we're moving forward at a pace that we can maintain. This sustainable approach keeps us engaged, healthy, and motivated in the long term. Instead of a start and stop pattern that disrupts our progress, consistency fosters a steady forward momentum, one that gradually and assuredly brings us closer to our goals. One of the most rewarding aspects of consistency is the sense of control it brings. When we rely on intensity, we're at the mercy of external factors, our mood, our energy levels, or the inspiration of the moment. But when we cultivate consistency, we become self-reliant. We're no longer waiting for the right moment or a surge of inspiration. Instead, we create progress by making the conscious choice to act day after day. This gives us a profound sense of agency, a feeling that we're in control of our own destiny. We're no longer reactive to life's fluctuations, but proactive in pursuing our goals. The power of consistency extends beyond the physical actions we take. It also shapes our mindset. As we continue to show up, regardless of the day's challenges, we begin to trust ourselves more deeply. We build confidence in our own ability to follow through, knowing that we can count on ourselves to keep moving forward. This self-trust is a priceless asset, one that supports us in all areas of life. It allows us to take on greater challenges knowing that we possess the resilience to handle them. Over time, this confidence compounds just like our actions, reinforcing a mindset of growth and perseverance. Consistency teaches patience, a virtue that is invaluable on the path to any worthwhile goal. In a world that often values instant results, the discipline of consistent effort helps us develop an appreciation for gradual progress. It shifts our focus from the end result to the process itself, allowing us to find joy and satisfaction in the journey. This patient approach not only makes the journey more enjoyable, but also makes us more adaptable. We learn to embrace the ups and downs, understanding that each step, no matter how small, is part of a larger progression. Every consistent action we take contributes to a larger vision. We may not see immediate results, and sometimes the progress may feel so slow that it's almost imperceptible. But with each action, we're building a structure, laying one brick at a time. And one day, as we look back, we'll see the full picture, a picture that was built by our steady dedication. This structure becomes a testament to our commitment, a visible representation of our consistent efforts. It stands as a reminder that we don't need to move mountains in a single day. We only need to move small stones consistently, and eventually we'll see that we've moved mountains. Consistency requires a mindset shift, a willingness to embrace gradual progress over instant gratification. It's about learning to appreciate the small steps, the daily wins that might otherwise go unnoticed. When we focus on these incremental gains, we shift our attention from what we lack to what we're building. This shift not only enhances our motivation, but also keeps us aligned with our values. We're no longer driven by impatience or a desire for quick results. Instead, we're driven by a commitment to steady improvement, a dedication to becoming a better version of ourselves each day. In relationships, in careers, and personal development, consistency is the force that holds everything together. In friendships or partnerships, it's the small, consistent acts of kindness and support that build trust. In our careers, it's the consistent delivery of quality work that earns respect and recognition. And in personal growth, it's the daily choices, the consistent self-care, and the gradual learning that shape our character. Consistency is what transforms intentions into reality. It's what takes our goals from mere ideas and turns them into tangible outcomes. The journey of consistency isn't glamorous, and it often lacks the excitement of intense effort, but it is this quiet, steady work that builds resilience and lays the foundation for greatness. It's about making a promise to ourselves and honoring that promise every day. It's about choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term gratification, recognizing that true success is a marathon, not a sprint. When we embrace consistency, we're investing in a legacy, a body of work, a series of achievements, or a life of growth that stands the test of time. This is the power of consistency over intensity, the power of showing up day after day to build a life that reflects our highest potential. Pushing through resistance is one of the most challenging yet rewarding disciplines a person can develop. Resistance appears in various forms: self-doubt, fear, procrastination, discomfort, or even the pull to give up when things get tough. It is that voice inside our heads, often subtle but persistent, that tells us to quit or questions our capability. When we push through resistance, we are essentially overcoming the barriers our mind creates, breaking free from self-imposed limitations and stepping into a more expansive version of ourselves. This process is not easy, but it is essential for growth, self-mastery, and ultimately achieving what we deeply desire. Resistance has a way of showing up right at the moment when we decide to pursue something meaningful. It's as if a natural force rises to meet any action aimed at improvement or change, testing our resolve and commitment. This force can be mental, emotional, or even physical, and it often triggers discomfort and uncertainty. The temptation to pull back or take the easier route becomes incredibly strong, especially when the task feels overwhelming or when we are faced with setbacks. But here lies the core of true transformation, our ability to endure and push through these feelings, to do what's required even when it doesn't feel good, is what separates those who achieve from those who merely dream. Pushing through resistance requires an acceptance of discomfort. We live in a world that often promotes comfort and instant gratification. We're conditioned to seek ease to avoid pain and to prefer convenience over challenge. However, growth doesn't occur in comfort zones. Growth demands that we venture into unknown territories where we are stretched, tested, and sometimes even brought to our limits. When we push through resistance, we're actively choosing the discomfort of progress over the comfort of stagnation. This choice requires not just willpower, but also a profound shift in our mindset, a realization that the discomfort we experience is not an indication that we should stop, but a sign that we are on the path to something greater.
At the core of resistance is often fear, the fear of failure, rejection, or even success. Fear tells us to stay where we are, to avoid taking risks, and to play small. It creates an illusion that by staying in our current situation, we're somehow safer or more secure. But pushing through resistance means acknowledging this fear and choosing to act anyway. It's about recognizing that fear is just a feeling, a temporary reaction, and not an actual barrier. By moving forward despite fear, we redefine our relationship with it. Instead of letting it control us, we use it as fuel to propel us forward, building courage with each step. Every time we push through resistance, we are building resilience. Resilience is not something we're born with, it's something we develop through repeated encounters with adversity. Each time we face resistance and decide to keep going, we strengthen our ability to handle future challenges. This resilience becomes an invaluable asset, as it equips us to handle setbacks, delays, and disappointments without losing sight of our goal. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be obstacles. But resilience is what enables us to bounce back, to adapt, and to continue moving forward, regardless of the difficulties we encounter. Pushing through resistance also cultivates self-trust. When we prove to ourselves that we can take action despite our doubts or fears, we begin to trust our own capabilities more deeply. We start to see ourselves as capable, as people who follow through on our commitments, even when things get tough. This self-trust is a cornerstone of confidence and self-respect. It's not about never experiencing doubt or fear, but about knowing that we have the strength to move forward despite these feelings. Over time, this self-trust compounds, giving us a greater sense of control over our lives and decisions. One of the most challenging aspects of resistance is that it often comes from within. It's easy to blame external circumstances, to say that we lack time, resources, or support. But if we look closely, we often find that the greatest barriers are internal. Our minds create stories about why we can't or shouldn't pursue something. These stories, often rooted in past experiences or limiting beliefs, can be powerful. But pushing through resistance means challenging these narratives, questioning their validity, and choosing to act based on our vision for the future rather than our fears from the past. There's a paradox at the heart of resistance. The very thing we resist doing is often the thing we need to do most. The actions that make us uncomfortable, that stretch us or take us out of our routine, are usually the ones that lead to the most growth. When we avoid these actions, we're not protecting ourselves, we're limiting ourselves. Pushing through resistance means leaning into the discomfort, recognizing that the path to our goals will not always be easy or straightforward, but that every step forward brings us closer to becoming who we truly are. This act of moving toward what we resist is an act of courage, a statement that our goals and dreams are worth the discomfort of the journey. It's important to understand that resistance doesn't necessarily go away over time. Even as we progress and achieve, resistance can reappear at new levels. With each new challenge, each new pursuit, it can show up in different forms, testing us once again. However, the difference is that with each encounter, we become better equipped to handle it. We become more familiar with the feeling, more skilled at recognizing it for what it is, a temporary obstacle rather than a permanent barrier. This familiarity with resistance allows us to face it with less hesitation and more confidence, knowing that we've overcome it before and can do so again. In pushing through resistance, we tap into a deeper level of commitment. It's easy to commit to something when it's fun or when we're feeling motivated. But true commitment is shown when we continue, even when the excitement fades, when the work becomes tedious, or when the initial progress stalls. This deeper commitment is what drives us forward when enthusiasm alone is not enough. It's a commitment rooted not in fleeting emotions, but in a deliberate choice to prioritize our goals and values above temporary discomfort. It's the understanding that what we're working toward matters enough to endure the challenges along the way. There's also a sense of empowerment that comes from pushing through resistance. Each time we confront and overcome an obstacle, we expand our sense of what's possible. We realize that we are not defined by our limitations or past experiences, but by our willingness to persist. This empowerment shifts our mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. We start to see challenges not as threats but as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to prove to ourselves what we're capable of achieving. With each act of persistence, we build a track record of success, a series of small victories that fuel our confidence and motivate us to tackle even greater challenges. Pushing through resistance requires a level of self-awareness. We must be able to recognize when we're facing resistance, to differentiate between genuine limitations and self-imposed barriers. This awareness allows us to identify the root causes of our resistance, whether it's fear, self-doubt, or a lack of clarity. By understanding what's holding us back, we can take deliberate action to address it, whether that means seeking guidance, refining our goals, or simply taking the next step, despite our hesitation. Self-awareness enables us to face resistance with a greater sense of purpose, understanding that it's a natural part of the journey rather than a signal to stop. When we push through resistance, we are also teaching ourselves patience. Progress, especially in meaningful pursuits, often takes time. There will be moments when it feels like we're making little to no progress, when the effort we're putting in seems disproportionate to the results we're seeing. But patience is a crucial part of persistence. It's the understanding that growth is not always linear, that setbacks are a natural part of the process, and that consistent effort will yield results, even if those results are not immediately visible. By cultivating patience, we allow ourselves the time and space to grow, knowing that every action we take brings us closer to our goals. Pushing through resistance transforms us. It strengthens not only our ability to achieve, but also our character. We become more disciplined, more resilient, and more committed to our values and goals. The act of overcoming resistance molds us into individuals who are not easily deterred, who are willing to put in the work required to achieve something meaningful. This transformation is a reward in itself, independent of the outcome. It's a testament to our inner strength, to our capacity for growth, and to our dedication to creating a life that reflects our deepest aspirations. Each time we push through resistance, we reinforce our belief in ourselves, building a foundation of strength and confidence that supports us in all areas of life. Building discipline over dependence on motivation is a transformative process. It's about committing to a goal and taking consistent action even when the desire, mood, or excitement isn't there to propel us forward. Motivation is often fleeting. It's that spark that gets us started, a burst of energy that can come from an inspiring quote, an uplifting video, or the initial excitement of beginning something new. However, motivation is not a constant force. It ebbs and flows, tied to our emotions, external circumstances, or even the weather. When we rely solely on motivation, we're setting ourselves up to waver and to falter when the inevitable low points come. Discipline, on the other hand, is a steady, unwavering commitment to the actions we've decided upon. It's the structure we create, the routine we follow, and the strength we cultivate to keep moving forward, regardless of how we feel in the moment. When we build discipline, we're cultivating a mindset that views action as non-negotiable. There is a profound power in deciding that certain things will get done, regardless of the emotional landscape. Discipline transcends feelings. It's rooted in choice and responsibility. Discipline is developed not through bursts of motivation but through consistent, often small, actions repeated over time. It doesn't demand excitement or inspiration. It simply requires us to show up and do the work. This approach becomes especially valuable when pursuing long-term goals, as these often require sustained effort over months or even years. Motivation is a helpful companion in this journey, but it's undependable. If we build our journey around it, we'll only move forward when the initial excitement strikes. With discipline, we can continue to advance, even when motivation has waned. Building discipline means embracing routines. Routines provide a structure to our day, creating a predictable rhythm that supports our goals. When we establish routines, we eliminate the need to make a daily decision about whether or not to take action. We've already decided our routine is the decision, and all we need to do is follow it. Routines remove the question of motivation entirely. They establish habits that carry us forward through inertia and familiarity. By following routines, we signal to ourselves that these actions are important, that they're a priority we're committed to, regardless of circumstances. Discipline is this reinforcement of priority, a commitment that goes deeper than any passing emotion. It is in the act of adhering to our routines, day after day, that we build the strength of discipline. We learn to act not out of mood, but out of responsibility to ourselves and our vision. This process isn't always easy, especially at first. Establishing discipline requires moving through discomfort, boredom, and resistance. There will be days when taking action feels like the last thing we want to do. These moments are when discipline is forged. By taking action even when it's hard, we're teaching ourselves that our commitment to our goals outweighs temporary feelings of resistance. Over time, these repeated actions, taken in the face of discomfort, build a reservoir of resilience. We develop an inner strength that allows us to keep moving forward despite obstacles. This strength isn't dependent on the fleeting bursts of energy that come from motivation. It's a durable force built through experience and habit. Discipline is the muscle we build through continual practice, each time proving to ourselves that we can act regardless of how we feel. Discipline also creates self-respect. When we act with discipline, we show ourselves that we are people who follow through. This follow-through builds trust and confidence in ourselves. We start to see ourselves as capable of taking action, not just when it's convenient, but when it's challenging. This self-trust is a powerful asset. It becomes a source of inner strength, reinforcing our ability to handle difficulty and discomfort. When we depend solely on motivation, this self-trust is undermined, because we are only taking action when it feels easy or exciting. But by building discipline, we're proving to ourselves that we are consistent, that we can be counted on to take the necessary steps no matter what. This reliability strengthens our resolve and empowers us to pursue goals that require sustained effort, knowing that we are capable of showing up consistently. With discipline, we also learn the value of delayed gratification. Motivation often feeds on immediate rewards, on the feeling of satisfaction we get right after taking action. But discipline is about holding a vision for the future, about committing to actions that may not yield instant rewards, but that build towards something greater. This mindset shift from instant gratification to delayed rewards is essential for achieving long-term success. It requires us to act based on our values and goals rather than momentary pleasure.
To build discipline, we must also cultivate patience. Discipline is a long-term process. It's the sum of repeated actions taken over time, not a single leap forward. This means we need to develop patience with ourselves and with the process. Building discipline is not about instant change, it's about gradual improvement. This patience helps us move forward without the pressure of expecting immediate results. We learn to appreciate the small wins, to celebrate the fact that we showed up today, even if the results are not yet visible. Patience helps us stay committed even when the path is unclear or when progress feels slow. By focusing on consistent action rather than immediate results, we allow discipline to grow naturally without forcing or rushing it. This patient approach builds a solid foundation, allowing discipline to become an integral part of who we are. As we cultivate discipline, we also learn to embrace failure as part of the journey. Motivation often fades in the face of setbacks or mistakes, but discipline teaches us resilience. We come to understand that failure is not a stopping point, it's an opportunity to learn and improve. Discipline helps us view setbacks as part of the process rather than as reasons to give up. This perspective shift is crucial because it keeps us moving forward even when things don't go as planned. Each time we recover from a setback, we build resilience, strengthening our ability to handle adversity. This resilience is a byproduct of discipline, a testament to our commitment and determination. With discipline, failure becomes less daunting because we know we have the inner strength to continue regardless of obstacles. Building discipline requires self-awareness. To cultivate discipline, we must understand our own tendencies, our triggers, and the patterns that lead us to avoid action. This self-awareness helps us identify the moments when we're most likely to waver and allows us to put strategies in place to stay on track. For example, we may realize that we're more likely to avoid tasks when we feel overwhelmed or tired. With this awareness, we can take proactive steps like breaking tasks into smaller steps or setting reminders to ensure we stay consistent. Discipline requires this level of introspection, a willingness to observe our own behavior and make adjustments as needed. This self-awareness helps us maintain a steady course, even when motivation is absent. We become more mindful of our actions, understanding that each choice contributes to the larger picture of our goals. Another critical aspect of discipline is commitment to the long term. Discipline is about staying focused on the big picture, about making choices that support our long-term vision rather than our immediate desires. This commitment requires a shift in perspective, a focus on where we want to go rather than on where we are. Discipline keeps us anchored in our goals, helping us make choices that align with our values rather than with temporary impulses. This commitment to the long term strengthens our resolve, allowing us to keep moving forward even when progress feels slow. With discipline, we're not swayed by short-term setbacks or temporary pleasures. Our focus is on the destination, and each action we take brings us one step closer to it. Ultimately, building discipline is about self-respect. When we practice discipline, we're honoring our commitment to ourselves and to our goals. We're choosing to act in alignment with our values, to prioritize what truly matters. This self-respect grows with each action we take, reinforcing our belief in ourselves and our abilities. We start to see ourselves as people who are capable of achieving what we set out to do, not because of motivation, but because of our unwavering commitment. This self-respect becomes a source of inner strength, a reminder that we have the power to shape our lives through our actions. By building discipline, we are creating a foundation for lasting success, one that doesn't depend on fleeting emotions, but on a deep, steady commitment to becoming the best version of ourselves. Small efforts add up in ways that are often more powerful and transformative than we realize. Each action, no matter how seemingly insignificant, is like a drop of water that eventually forms a river, carving paths through mountains over time. In our fast-paced world, there's a tendency to overlook small, consistent actions in favor of grand gestures or sweeping changes. But the reality is, true progress and long-term success are almost always the result of repeated small efforts. These small actions, done day after day, compound, creating a foundation that enables us to achieve things we might never have thought possible. There is a quiet strength in taking small steps forward, and this strength builds resilience, commitment, and a sense of purpose. These small efforts don't require bursts of motivation or huge commitments. They simply require showing up, doing the work, and trusting in the process. When we set out to achieve a goal, whether it's personal, professional, or physical, it's easy to feel daunted by the magnitude of what lies ahead. The thought of changing our lives or reaching a significant milestone can be overwhelming. But by breaking down that goal into small, manageable tasks, we make it achievable. Small actions create momentum. They allow us to begin without needing to conquer the entire mountain in one stride. Instead of looking at the entire journey, we focus on each step, each effort, no matter how small, and that helps us to keep moving forward. Over time, these small efforts accumulate, and what once seemed impossible becomes achievable. This process doesn't demand perfection, it simply requires persistence. It's about focusing on consistent actions that keep us moving toward our goals, knowing that each small effort brings us closer. Each small effort we make builds habits. Habits are the building blocks of our lives. They shape our days and, by extension, our lives. By focusing on small efforts, we're effectively creating positive habits that support our goals. When we repeat an action regularly, it becomes part of our routine, and eventually we do it automatically without needing to rely on willpower or motivation. This is the beauty of small efforts. They're manageable enough that we don't feel overwhelmed by them, yet powerful enough that they can transform our lives when done consistently. For example, if someone wants to get in shape, committing to a small daily exercise, even if it's just 10 minutes, can lead to significant improvements over time. As this small action becomes a habit, it's easier to build upon it, adding more time or intensity. What starts as a small effort grows into a sustained routine, one that supports the goal without requiring extraordinary motivation or discipline. Small efforts also allow us to learn and adapt as we go. When we take small steps, we have the opportunity to observe the results, assess what's working, and make adjustments. This process of iteration allows us to refine our approach and make steady progress without needing to have everything figured out from the start. It reduces the pressure to be perfect and allows for gradual improvement. Each small action becomes a learning experience, a chance to improve and get closer to our goals. This incremental approach is incredibly powerful because it means we're always moving forward, always making progress. Even setbacks become part of the journey, not as failures, but as lessons that inform our next steps. Small efforts provide the flexibility we need to adapt without feeling like we're constantly starting over. Each day, each effort adds to our experience, building a foundation of knowledge, resilience, and understanding. These small efforts cultivate discipline, a quality that's essential for achieving long-term success. Discipline isn't built overnight, it's developed through consistent, repeated actions. When we commit to small efforts, we're training ourselves to show up regularly, to take action even when we may not feel like it. Over time, this discipline becomes second nature, a part of who we are. The act of making small, consistent efforts reinforces our commitment to our goals. It builds a sense of responsibility and accountability that keeps us on track, even when the journey gets tough. Discipline created through small efforts is more sustainable than bursts of motivation. It's steady, reliable, and it provides us with the inner strength to keep going. By focusing on small actions, we're building the discipline we need to tackle bigger challenges, step by step, action by action. These small efforts also build confidence. Each time we take action, no matter how small, we're proving to ourselves that we are capable of making progress. This sense of achievement, no matter how minor, boosts our confidence and reinforces our belief in our ability to reach our goals. Confidence is essential because it affects how we perceive challenges and obstacles. When we believe in ourselves, we're more likely to stay committed to our goals, to push through difficulties, and to keep making progress. Small efforts provide us with continuous opportunities to feel accomplished, to see the progress we're making, and to build our confidence. Over time, this confidence compounds just like the efforts themselves. We start to see ourselves as capable, resilient, and committed. This self-belief is invaluable as it provides us with the courage to continue pursuing our goals, no matter how challenging the journey may be. There's also a sense of fulfillment that comes from making small, consistent efforts. Each day we have the opportunity to move closer to our goals, to make progress that is meaningful and rewarding. By focusing on small efforts, we're not waiting for some distant future to feel accomplished. We're creating a sense of satisfaction and purpose in the present, knowing that we're actively working toward what matters to us. This daily fulfillment is motivating. It encourages us to keep going, to stay committed, and to continue making progress. The journey becomes as meaningful as the destination. Each small action is a reminder of our commitment to ourselves and our goals, a reaffirmation of our purpose. This sense of purpose and fulfillment keeps us grounded, focused, and resilient even when the path is difficult. Small efforts also allow us to manage our energy and avoid burnout. When we take on too much at once or rely on intense bursts of effort, we risk exhausting ourselves. Burnout can derail our progress and make it difficult to stay committed to our goals. By focusing on small, manageable actions, we're able to maintain a steady pace without overwhelming ourselves. This approach allows us to sustain our efforts over the long term, creating a rhythm that supports our goals without draining our energy. Small efforts provide a sustainable way to make progress, one that respects our limits and allows us to recharge when needed. By working in this way, we're setting ourselves up for success, creating a foundation of steady progress that doesn't rely on extremes or exhaustion. We're building a pace that we can maintain, one that keeps us moving forward without risking burnout. These small efforts also build confidence. Each time we take action, no matter how small, we're proving to ourselves that we are capable of making progress. This sense of achievement, no matter how minor, boosts our confidence and reinforces our belief in our ability to reach our goals. Confidence is essential because it affects how we perceive challenges and obstacles. When we believe in ourselves, we're more likely to stay committed to our goals, to push through difficulties, and to keep making progress. Small efforts provide us with continuous opportunities to feel accomplished, to see the progress we're making, and to build our confidence. Over time, this confidence compounds just like the efforts themselves. We start to see ourselves as capable, resilient, and committed. This self-belief is invaluable as it provides us with the courage to continue pursuing our goals, no matter how challenging the journey may be. There's also a sense of fulfillment that comes from making small, consistent efforts. Each day we have the opportunity to move closer to our goals, to make progress that is meaningful and rewarding. By focusing on small efforts, we're not waiting for some distant future to feel accomplished. We're creating a sense of satisfaction and purpose in the present, knowing that we're actively working toward what matters to us. This daily fulfillment is motivating and it encourages us to keep going, to stay committed, and to continue making progress. The journey becomes as meaningful as the destination. Each small action is a reminder of our commitment to ourselves and our goals, a reaffirmation of our purpose. This sense of purpose and fulfillment keeps us grounded, focused, and resilient even when the path is difficult. Small efforts also allow us to manage our energy and avoid burnout. When we take on too much at once or rely on intense bursts of effort, we risk exhausting ourselves. Burnout can derail our progress and make it difficult to stay committed to our goals. By focusing on small, manageable actions, we're able to maintain a steady pace without overwhelming ourselves. This approach allows us to sustain our efforts over the long term, creating a rhythm that supports our goals without draining our energy. Small efforts provide a sustainable way to make progress, one that respects our limits and allows us to recharge when needed. By working in this way, we're setting ourselves up for success, creating a foundation of steady progress that doesn't rely on extremes or exhaustion. We're building a pace that we can maintain, one that keeps us moving forward without risking burnout. In addition to building confidence and discipline, small efforts help us overcome procrastination. One of the main reasons we procrastinate is because tasks can feel too large or too daunting. When we break down our goals into small steps, we make it easier to start. Each small effort feels achievable, manageable, and less intimidating. By focusing on these small actions, we're able to overcome the resistance that often holds us back. We start taking action, and as we do, we build momentum. This momentum is powerful. It propels us forward, making it easier to take the next step and the one after that. Small efforts remove the barrier of procrastination, replacing it with a sense of progress and accomplishment. Each time we complete a small action, we reinforce our commitment to our goals and reduce the power that procrastination holds over us. Small efforts also create a sense of consistency, a rhythm that helps us stay focused on our goals. Consistency is one of the most important factors in achieving long-term success. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about showing up day after day and making progress. When we focus on small efforts, we're able to maintain this consistency because we're not overextending ourselves. We're working within our means, taking manageable actions that we can sustain. This consistency becomes a source of strength. It provides us with a sense of stability, a routine that keeps us grounded and focused. Even on days when motivation is low or challenges arise, this consistency allows us to keep moving forward. By building consistency through small efforts, we're creating a reliable foundation for success. In a world that often glorifies quick wins and dramatic transformations, it can be easy to overlook the power of small efforts. But the truth is, lasting change is almost always the result of these small, consistent actions. Each effort, no matter how small, contributes to our progress, our growth, and our success. Small efforts create momentum, build habits, cultivate discipline, and reinforce our commitment to our goals. They allow us to learn, adapt, and improve without overwhelming ourselves. Each day, each action, no matter how minor it may seem, is a step forward. Over time, these steps add up, creating a journey that leads us to our goals. By focusing on small efforts, we're embracing a path of steady progress, a path that builds strength, resilience, and a sense of purpose. In the end, it's not the size of the effort that matters, it's the consistency and commitment we bring to each action. Small efforts are the building blocks of success, and when we honor them, we're honoring our journey, our growth, and our potential. Commitment as a lifestyle transforms every aspect of our lives in ways that are profound and deeply personal. It becomes the driving force behind our actions, decisions, and attitudes, weaving consistency, resilience, and purpose into our daily experience. To live with commitment is not simply about making one-time promises or setting temporary goals. It's about adopting a mindset that turns commitment into a way of life. This shift requires us to align our thoughts, words, and actions with the principles we value most, fostering a continuous dedication to our purpose and creating a foundation that can withstand challenges, distractions, and setbacks. Embracing commitment as a lifestyle means cultivating the discipline and integrity to follow through on what we say we will do, regardless of the obstacles or circumstances we face. It's a personal contract with ourselves to honor our aspirations, goals, and values. When we adopt commitment as a lifestyle, we take responsibility for our lives, choosing to live purposefully and intentionally. This sense of responsibility is a powerful motivator as it reinforces our sense of self-worth and keeps us grounded in our values. Instead of being swayed by fleeting motivations or external influences, we become guided by an internal compass that reflects our deeper desires and aspirations. This personal accountability transforms our mindset from one of passivity to one of proactive engagement with life. We no longer see challenges as barriers, but as opportunities to strengthen our resolve. Each step we take, each action we follow through on, reinforces our sense of purpose and deepens our commitment. In this way, commitment becomes a self-sustaining cycle, where each act of dedication fuels our desire to stay true to our path, regardless of the difficulties we encounter. Living with commitment also means cultivating resilience, an essential quality for navigating life's inevitable ups and downs. When commitment becomes a way of life, we build a foundation of perseverance that allows us to push through setbacks and failures with grace and determination. We come to understand that setbacks are not reasons to abandon our goals, but are simply part of the journey. This perspective empowers us to stay focused on our long-term vision, even when the road ahead is uncertain or filled with obstacles. Each challenge we face becomes a testament to our commitment, a chance to prove to ourselves that we are capable of enduring hardships without losing sight of our goals. In this way, resilience and commitment reinforce each other, creating a cycle of strength and resolve that fuels our ability to persevere. A lifestyle of commitment requires consistency. True commitment is not sporadic or conditional, it is continuous and unwavering. Consistency is the thread that holds our commitments together, transforming our intentions into sustained action over time. Through consistency, we turn our aspirations into habits, building routines and practices that support our goals day after day. This steady dedication cultivates a sense of discipline that enables us to make progress even on days when motivation is lacking. In this way, consistency becomes an anchor, grounding us in our commitment and preventing us from being swayed by short-term temptations or distractions. Each day, each small act of dedication reinforces our commitment, strengthening our resolve and propelling us forward. Consistency turns commitment from an abstract concept into a tangible reality, making it an integral part of who we are and how we live. When commitment is a lifestyle, we learn the power of focus. Living with commitment means directing our attention and energy toward what truly matters to us, filtering out distractions and staying centered on our goals. This focus sharpens our awareness of our priorities, helping us to make decisions that are aligned with our values and long-term vision. With focus, we gain clarity about our path and can identify the actions that will move us closer to our goals. This clarity brings a sense of purpose to our lives, guiding our actions and decisions and allowing us to make the most of each moment. In this way, commitment and focus go hand in hand as each reinforces the other. By committing to our goals, we naturally cultivate focus, and this focus in turn strengthens our commitment, creating a powerful cycle of intentional living. Living with commitment also brings a profound sense of fulfillment and satisfaction. There is a deep sense of purpose that comes from knowing we are dedicated to something meaningful, that our actions are aligned with our values and aspirations. Each day we have the opportunity to move closer to our goals, to make choices that reflect our dedication, and to live in alignment with our purpose. This sense of fulfillment is not based on external achievements or accolades. It comes from within, from the knowledge that we are honoring our commitments and staying true to ourselves. This inner fulfillment sustains us through difficult times, providing a source of motivation that goes beyond superficial rewards. It reminds us that our commitment is not about the outcome, but about the journey, about the person we are becoming along the way. Commitment as a lifestyle fosters integrity, as it requires us to be honest with ourselves and others about our intentions, goals, and actions. When we live with commitment, we become more mindful of the promises we make, recognizing that our word holds weight and that our actions reflect our values. This integrity strengthens our relationships as others come to trust and respect our commitment. They see that we are reliable, that we follow through on our promises, and that we are true to our word. Living with integrity also deepens our relationship with ourselves as we learn to trust in our own ability to stay committed to our goals. This self-trust is invaluable, as it reinforces our confidence and empowers us to pursue our goals with unwavering determination. Living with commitment also requires patience. True commitment is not about immediate results, it is about staying dedicated over the long term, trusting in the process and believing in the value of our efforts. This patience allows us to appreciate the journey, to embrace the small victories along the way, and to remain hopeful even when progress is slow. It teaches us to be resilient in the face of setbacks, to see each challenge as an opportunity for growth, and to remain focused on our goals regardless of external circumstances. Patience deepens our commitment, reminding us that meaningful progress takes time and that each step forward, no matter how small, is a testament to our dedication. This patience brings a sense of calm and stability to our lives, allowing us to stay centered and grounded in our commitment.